Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Biracial Circus. I wanted to make a part 2 of the Cowgirling while biracial, or Cowgirling while exotical. This is a series that I really enjoy. I really like being able to talk to you guys about this subject, and I'm super, super interested in any experiences that you've had as well. A lot of people that I've told about this series have been like, well, why are you being so negative? Talk about the positive. And, and we will. I have a mixture of videos on the channel, but, it's important to feel heard, and it's important to put information out there that is really necessary for women who are biracial or Black or just, multicultural in general. It's important for us to have these talking points and, learn from each other's experiences. And so with that being said, my allergies are going through the roof right now. Just everything is blooming. And I went on a trail ride and my horse started tossing his head while we were going under this, low hanging flowering tree, and the pollen just went all over us and it was all over my face. And oh man. But anyway, wanted to talk about like barn culture. If you board at a barn or if you frequent a show circuit, or if you're just around a group of equestrians. I just want to talk about my experience and how I've become an successful equestrian, and the pitfalls that I had that were in my way, and how I overcame them. And that's starting with, you really need to get to your people. You're going to kiss a lot of frogs, a lot of barns, as, someone who's just not white, whether you're mixed or, Chinese or biracial. You're going to kiss a lot of frogs. You're going to find a lot of places that are not for you. You'll know those places because in my experience, I would go to barns and, there were places where I felt like I was being lifted up, and there were places where I felt I was being downright sabotaged, like just out of line, complete sabotage. I had one barn that put my life at risk just in the name of getting me out because they didn't want to be like outright about it. And, a lot of people are like, oh, it could have been something else. You could have just been like a bad person or weird. And I'm like, no. Sometimes I've been at barns. I've been at a lot of barns. I've had my horse at a lot of different barns, and I would, feel really stunted in lessons with the owner, the head trainer. I'd feel like there was like no patience and they had better things to do. And, I would be told, you need to get with it or get with a different barn. Your horse isn't really what our vision is for our barn. We're this, your horse is that. And to some extent, there have been barns that, it was about business, but others, it was just clearly, we don't want you here, get out of here. And other people who had way less experience than I, and, tempers, people who had like bad tempers and stuff like that, and just not really pleasant personalities, just not someone you want to hang out with. Mostly people's not cup of tea, if you know what I'm trying to say. They would be lifted up because they fit more of the image that barn wanted. I'll let you fill in the blanks for that. I noticed it wasn't just me that it would happen to. That's how I knew I wasn't crazy and, deluded and just thinking it was just me. I was at one barn where 2 other biracial women came through, treated the exact same way, way more talented than I was, way nicer horse than I had, and they were treated the same way. Trainer didn't have time for them, wouldn't communicate with them, wouldn't include them in shows. They were like, they would not get any help at shows. Everyone would neglect them, and they'd be late to their the calling of their classes. And it was hard to watch. It really was. And that's when I knew, I'm like, no, these are not the people where I should be. This is not my tribe. And I would move on. I had at one barn, I was starting to get really good at a particular discipline. I won't go into detail what, because then it's way too easy to, find me, and I love being anonymous online. I, was raising up in the ranks pretty darn fast. It's a pretty niche uh, class or discipline. So, I didn't get the chance. There's no amateur level on at shows in that discipline. Everybody's put together. So if you're 7 years old, you're going to be competing against someone who's 80 years old. If you're, if you're 25 years old and you've only been doing it for 6 months, you're going to compete against someone who's been doing it for 20 years. There's only one group, and you all go in together. There's no like youth and, amateur, novice. Like everybody's thrown in the mix, and I was smoking these people. Like I was beating people who had been doing it longer than I'd been alive. I was beating people who, had a way fancier horse than I did, who could afford more lessons, more training, and just had more time at the barn and with their horses in general. And, that started to bug a few people out. And so, at a show, one of my head trainers, there was a trainer and then a head trainer, she put an extremely harsh bit on my equipment. It was legal to have it, but to the equestrians out there, and also non-equestrians, if I'm wrong, please put it in the comments and correct me, because I'm all about learning. But, so bits, if you don't have the training with a bit, if you haven't trained with a bit, if you don't understand what it does, it can become extremely dangerous, and it can frighten your horse. And especially if your horse isn't used to it, it can definitely frighten your horse. It's a new kind of pressure. And so I had zero training with this particular bit. It was a very harsh bit that was meant to give the horse more forward. And I was not at all communicated that, hey, we put this much harsher, like the harshest bit that's allowed in this circuit. We put it on your horse. So, you need to have way less pressure in your hands and make sure I mean, I wasn't even, not that would have been appropriate, because I hadn't trained with it. So even if they had told me, hey, we did this, that would have still been wildly inappropriate. And so, they switched my gear that I had been using the entire show, and, my horse blew up. And it was, this is a sport that has a high mortality rate than others, due to like the equipment that's used. It can kill both horse and rider, not just you, if something should happen. And, it would be beneficial for me to just tell you the discipline, but it would just be way too easy to point me out. So, my horse blew up. The horse I was leasing blew up. It was very scary. I had no idea why my cues were completely frightening my horse. It was terrifying, because the things that I would do to recover from certain like spooking and stuff like that were making everything 10 times worse. And, all eyes were on me. This is a huge show. Like some of the best are there. And I'm just like, what is happening? What is happening? The wind started blowing, made everything worse. In the end, everyone was fine. I got last place, which I didn't really care about. I was just happy to be alive and my horse to be uninjured, the horse I was leasing. Everyone was fine, but it was, it took me a little while to get back into my sport. I took a little bit of a break, which was only about 2 weeks, which is a huge break for me, but I had to get my nerves together. And later on the show, it came out like, oh, we just put the new bit on because we thought it'd give them more go. And mind you, this is not ignorance. These women have been in this sport for decades. They knew exactly what they were doing, and it worked. And that's when I kind of knew that I needed to move on, because I saw that for what it was, which was a direct lightning bolt of sabotage. There had been other things boiling up to that act that were like more, less minor, but still kind of severe. And I was just like, these people, they do not care about my safety and well-being. And they obviously don't even care about their own horse that I'm leasing. They would sacrifice that animal in order to get to me and get me out of here. And that is a scary place to be. So I completely switched disciplines. It was such a niche that no one else did it. And I think that's how they knew, that I wasn't going anywhere. So they had to really push me out. There's a lot more details in it. There's a lot of a lot of other stuff happened. It was just, these people would discuss my finances. One time I had a girl film a video at the show, different show, of me doing my work in my class. And, she was sitting next to the head trainers and a couple of the barn mates. And they were talking about me the entire time. And I had it on video. They're talking about my finances. How can she afford to do this? Why is she here? I bet she sells drugs in order to pay for this. I mean, it made me cry. I actually cried. I wouldn't cry now. I've done a lot of work, but at the time it made me cry. And, I had a couple people there that were my advocate, but it wasn't enough compared to everything that I was going through. And this is just one barn example of many. And this is just one barn example from one person of many people that this has happened to, many people of color, many people of non-white descent. And, it was really hard. And, I really had to find my people. And I have found my people who want me to grow in the sport, people who care about my horse and they care about me and they care about our well-being as, horse and rider. I have amazing support now. It took me a while to find it, but there are people out there that want to see you rise in levels. There are people out there that, that know the struggle of people of color and people who are multicultural. They know what you're up against and they will pick you up and take you under their wing and carry you to the top. There are people out there. You just got to find them. Don't waste your time at barns that want to see you fail. Because maybe once they realize that you're super passionate and you won't give up no matter what, they may let you in. But do you really want to be around those people? Do you really want to put up with all that crud that it's going to take, all that hazing and all that just like downright racism until you get to the very top? You don't want to be at the top with the devil. So, find your people. Find your people who want to see you do the best you can with you and your horse, or you and your lease horse, or whatever you're doing, you and your schooling horse, and go with these people, and your nervous system will be at peace when you're around the people you're supposed to be with. And you'll know when it feels right. And there is hope. And it's getting better and better as the years go by. And it also depends on what part of the country you live in. Some areas this doesn't even exist. This may seem like a foreign thing that I'm talking about. Like, oh, I didn't know. That's never been my experience. I'm Chinese and black, or I'm Latina, or I'm from Nigeria, and that's never happened to me. And that's great. I'm so happy for you. But, some people, this is their waking nightmare right now. And, it doesn't have to be. You got to advocate for yourself. If you're in a niche group, equestrian-wise, if you're in a discipline that they don't offer just anywhere, you may have to switch disciplines. You may have to just plunge and take the leap of faith and, recreate yourself. And, it can be very scary and it can be hard to be knocked down to a different discipline where you are now a beginner when you were, a champion of a different one. And, you just got to take that leap. And if you have any stories of your own, I want to hear about your experiences. So leave those in the comments, and I hope you all have a great day.